The brave little tailor was a man of small elevation, standing no more than 5 bases altitudinous. Despite his fine size, he was well known throughout the small ville where he lived for his exceptional courage and his extraordinary sewing chops. The townies respected him for his frippery, and numerous youthful people looked up to him as a part model. As a knitter, the brave little tailor was an expert in his craft, and his work was in high demand. His garments were always impeccably fitted, and his attention to detail was unequaled. His inconceivable sewing chops had earned him a character far beyond his small ville, and he was frequently sought out by guests from bordering municipalities. Despite his success as a knitter, it was the brave little tailor's courage that truly set him piecemeal. He was always the first to bestow on delicate tasks, and he no way backed down from a challenge. His intrepid nature inspired others to be stalwart, and he was frequently called upon to lead others in times of peril or extremity. The brave little tailor's courage and determination had served him well throughout his life, but he had no idea just how important they would be tested in the future. Little did he know that his frippery would soon be put to the ultimate test, and that his inconceivable feats of courage would come to the stuff of legend for generations to come. The fly incident is a story that's frequently told about the brave little tailor, and it has come a part of his legend. According to the tale, one day the brave little tailor was sitting down to enjoy his breakfast of chuck and jam when a pesky cover landed on his chuck. Without vacillation, he seized a piece of cloth and swatted the cover, killing it incontinently. Now, this might not feel like a remarkable feat, but the people of the small ville where the brave little tailor lived were quick to take notice. They had always known him to be a stalwart and resourceful man, but this incident had only served to further cement his character. As news of the incident spread throughout the ville, it began to take on a life of its own. People started saying that the brave little tailor had killed 7 canvases with one blow, and they marveled at his strength and skill. Soon, the story spread far beyond the ville, and people from bordering municipalities began to come to see the brave little tailor and hear the story for themselves. The brave little tailor was both amused and bewildered by the attention that he was entering, but he took it all in stride. He was a humble man, and he no way sought the limelight, but he was happy to be suitable to inspire others with his frippery and his quick thinking. The fly incident would go on to become one of the most notorious stories about the brave little tailor, and it would serve as a prelude to the numerous inconceivable feats of courage that he'd perform in the future. When news of the brave little tailor's supposed feat of killing 7 canvases with one blow reached the cognizance of the king, he was naturally intrigued. The king was known for his love of challenges and was always on the lookout for someone who could prove their worthiness through acts of courage and frippery. The king summoned the brave little tailor to his castle and presented him with a challenge. He was to kill 2 titans who had been spooking the area in exchange for half of the king's area and the hand of his son in marriage. The brave little tailor was shocked by the challenge, but he didn't vacillate for a moment. Despite the putatively insolvable task, he knew that he'd to accept the king's challenge. Lion-hearted by the enormity of the task ahead, the brave little tailor set out on his trip with only his head, his courage, and his safe sewing tackle by his side. He traveled for numerous days and nights, facing numerous challenges and obstacles along the way. When he eventually arrived at the Titan's lair, he set up the 2 mammoths sleeping soundly. With his heart pounding in his casket, the brave little tailor began to sew together a net from his sewing tackle. Once he'd finished, he crept over to the sleeping titans and threw the net over them, enmeshing them both. The Titans awoke with a launch, but they were no match for the quick-thinking and resourceful Brave Little Tailor. He managed to trick them into believing that he was an important wizard, able of inconceivable feats of strength and magic. In a show of strength, he lifted a boulder with ease, impressing the Titans and persuading them that they should observe his every command. With the Titans under his control, the Brave Little Tailor was suitable to lead them back to the king's castle, where he was saluted with important fanfare and festivity. The king was astounded by the Brave Little Tailor's frippery and resourcefulness, and he happily bestowed upon him the promised price of half of his area and the hand of his son in marriage. The Brave Little Tailor had formerly again proven that indeed the lowest and putatively weakest among us can achieve great effects through courage and determination. As the Brave Little Tailor set out on his trip to the mammoth's lair, he knew that his small size and lack of physical strength could put him at a disadvantage. But he was determined to overcome his limitations and master the Titans through his head and resourcefulness. Upon arriving at the Titan's lair, the Brave Little Tailor took stock of his surroundings and began to concoct a plan. He knew that he'd not be suitable to overpower the Titans with brute force, so he decided to use his knowledge of sewing and casting to his advantage. With his safe sewing tackle, the Brave Little Tailor drafted a small bag filled with a special mix of sauces and maquillages, including sleeping grease paint. He also disguised himself as a traveling trafficker and approached the Titans with a bottle of wine, hoping to gain their trust and pause them into a false sense of security. The Titans, being greedy and always on the lookout for new sources of food and drink, were fluently taken in by the Brave Little Tailor's ruse. They eagerly accepted the wine and drank deeply, fully ignorant of the sleeping grease paint that had been mixed in with the drink. Within moments, the Titans began to feel drowsy and soon fell into a deep sleep. The Brave Little Tailor also used his sewing tackle to fashion a net from the numerous scraps of cloth and string that he'd brought with him and precisely wrapped it around the sleeping Titans, making sure that they were well and truly trapped. When the Titans awoke, they set up themselves unfit to move or escape from the Brave Little Tailor's net. They were fully at his mercy, and he was suitable to use their fear and confusion to his advantage, persuading them that he was an important wizard who could destroy them with a single spell. Through his cunning and resourcefulness, the Brave Little Tailor was suitable to overcome the Titans and crop victorious. The story of his frippery and quick thinking snappily spread throughout the land, and he came to a legend in his own time, inspiring others with his tales of courage and imagination. As the Brave Little Tailor saw that the Titans were presto asleep due to the sleeping grease paint in the wine, he knew that it was time to take action. With a calm address and steady hands, he got to work. He snappily took out his safe sewing tackle and began to suture the Titans up in their clothes. Using his moxie in sewing, he created a complex pattern of aches that wrapped the Titans tightly in their garments, making it insolvable for them to move or escape. As he darned, the Brave Little Tailor could hear the Titans snoring loudly, and he knew that he'd have to work snappily to ensure that they didn't wake up. With sweat on his brow, he adroitly moved the needle back and forth, using all of his skill and moxie to produce a web of aches that would hold the Titans presto. Eventually, he stood back to respect his work. The Titans were now fully wrapped up in their clothes, unfit to move or escape. The Brave Little Tailor felt a sense of satisfaction marshland over him, knowing that he'd used his intelligence and frippery to outsmart the Titans. When the Titans awoke, they were unfit to move or escape. They plotted and strained against the tight aches, but it was all for aught. The brave little tailor approached them with confidence, knowing that he'd won the day. With a stern voice, he commanded the Titans to surrender and no way again beget detriment to the people of the area. The Titans, feting the frippery and resourcefulness of the brave little tailor, snappily agreed to his demands and swore to no way again beget trouble. As the brave little tailor returned to the king's castle with the two defeated Titans in the hitch, he was saluted with cheers and applause. The king and his courtiers were amazed at the courage and frippery of the small man who had defeated two fearsome Titans with nothing but his head and his sewing chops. The brave little tailor had formerly again proven that it isn't the size of the body but the size of the heart and the strength of the mind that truly matters. His frippery and resourcefulness saved the area, and he'd ever be flashed back as an idol and a legend. Overwhelmed by the success of the brave little tailor's charge, the king was true to his word and kept his pledge. He gave the brave little tailor the hand of his son in marriage and half his area. The brave little tailor was thrilled with his newfound prizes. He'd no way imagined that his frippery and sewing chops would lead to such a grand outgrowth. With the love of the king's son and half of the area under his belt, the brave little tailor knew he'd have numerous further adventures to come. The marriage was a grand affair, with people coming from far and wide to celebrate the union of the brave little tailor and the queen. The townies and townspeople were especially happy to see one of them rise to similarly great heights. As for the brave little tailor himself, he was lowered by the honor bestowed upon him. He knew that he'd achieved great effects not only because of his skill with a needle and thread but also because of his frippery and intelligence. He was a man of great heart and courage, and he was determined to use his new position to help others in need. With his woman by his side, the brave little tailor went on to rule the area with fairness and wisdom. He became a cherished sovereign, notorious for his frippery and resourcefulness. His character spread far and wide, and his story continued to inspire generations to come. In the end, the brave little tailor proved that true courage and strength come from within. It does not count how small or insignificant you may feel on the outside. What truly matters is the strength of your heart and your amenability to do what is right, no matter the cost. The brave little tailor will always be flashed back as a true idol, a symbol of courage, and an alleviation to us all. The brave little tailor's fame spread far and wide after his success in defeating the Titans and winning the hand of the Queen. But with his newfound success also came new challenges, as some saw him as a trouble or a target for their dockets. One day, a group of bandits heard of the brave little tailor's success and decided to attack the area. They allowed that because the tailor was just a small man, he'd be an easy target. They were wrong. When the brave little tailor heard about the bandits' attack, he didn't vacillate to take action. He knew that the area and the people he loved were in peril, and he was determined to cover them. He put on his bold face and gathered his tools of the trade, his needle, thread, and many jewels. When the bandits arrived, the brave little tailor faced them valorously. He threw his jewels with inconceivable delicacy, hitting each bandit forecourt on the head. The bandits were stupefied and confused, not understanding how such a small man could be so important. The brave little tailor used this confusion to his advantage. He ran between the bandits, poking them with his needle and thread, making it look like he was attacking them with a brand. His quick movements and frippery made the bandits believe that he was an important legionnaire. In the end, the bandits were defeated, and the area was saved. The brave little tailor was formerly again hailed as an idol, and his fame and character grew indeed stronger. The people of the area knew that they were lucky to have such a stalwart and resourceful leader. The brave little tailor's courage and determination formerly again saved the day. He proved that size and strength aren't always the most important effects in battle. What counts is having the courage to face your fears, the intelligence to come up with a good plan, and the will to see it through to the end. After the battle was won, the brave little tailor continued to rule the area with kindness and justice. He became known as a true idol, a leader who put his people first and no way nestled down from a challenge. And his story continued to inspire numerous generations to come. The king had always respected the brave little tailor's frippery and resourcefulness, but it wasn't until the bandit attack that he truly saw the extent of his heroism. The tailor's quick thinking and determination saved the area, and the king knew that he to award him consequently. The king called the brave little tailor to his palace and praised him for his courage and frippery in fighting off the bandits. The tailor was humble and gracious, but the king claimed that he merited much further than just praise. The king had formerly given the brave little tailor half of his area and his son's hand in marriage, but now he offered him the other half of the area as well. The tailor was taken suddenly by the king's liberality, but he knew that he'd earned it through his hard work and frippery. With the whole area now under his control, the brave little tailor had a new responsibility on his shoulders. He'd to make sure that his people were well taken care of and that justice was served. He spent numerous long days and nights working hard to ensure that the area remained peaceful and prosperous. Under his rule, the area flourished like no way ahead. The people were happy and prosperous, and the brave little tailor was respected and admired by all. His character as an idol and a wise sovereign grew indeed stronger, and he came given throughout the land as a lamp of stopgap and courage. In the end, the brave little tailor hadn't only won the king's favor but the hearts of his people as well. His frippery and determination had brought him great prices, but he remained humble and devoted to his area and his people. And his story continued to inspire numerous generations to come, reminding them of the power of courage and determination in the face of adversity. The legend of the brave little tailor spread far and wide, inspiring numerous others to follow in his steps and be stalwart in the face of adversity. People from all over the land came to hear his story and learn from his illustration, and his heritage only grew stronger with each passing day. The brave little tailor's story came as a symbol of stopgap and alleviation for numerous, and his name was invoked in times of trouble and query. Children grew up hearing tales of his frippery and his cleverness, and they were encouraged to be stalwart and resourceful in their own lives. But the brave little tailor's heritage wasn't just limited to myth and legends. His story had real-world operations as well, inspiring numerous people to be stalwart and creative in their own lives. His illustration showed that indeed the lowest and the putatively weakest person could negotiate great effects through courage and determination. As time passed, the brave little tailor's legend only grew stronger. He came to be a cherished figure in the hearts and minds of numerous, a symbol of stopgap and courage in worried times. His story continued to inspire generations to come, reminding them of the power of frippery and resourcefulness in the face of indeed the topmost challenges. In the end, Brave Little Tailor's heritage wasn't just the story of a single person, but a testament to the power of mortal courage and determination. His story inspired numerous people to be stalwart and resourceful, to believe in themselves and their capacities, and to no way give up in the face of indeed the topmost obstacles. And in that way, he truly became a legend, whose name would be flashed back and deified for generations to come. The story of the brave little tailor is a testament to the power of courage and determination, and the idea that greatness can come from indeed the most doubtful of places. Despite his small size and putatively insignificant occupation as a knitter, the brave little tailor's frippery and wit allowed him to negotiate inconceivable feats. His story serves as an alleviation to us all, reminding us that we have got the power to overcome indeed the topmost challenges if we're stalwart and resourceful. The story shows that true courage comes not from physical strength, but from amenability to face our fears and use our minds to find creative results to problems. The brave little tailor's heritage lives on to this day, inspiring generations to come to be stalwart and resourceful in their own lives. His story teaches us that we should no way underrate ourselves, and that we should always have the courage to pursue our dreams and overcome the obstacles that stand in our way. In conclusion, the story of the brave little tailor shows that courage comes in numerous forms, and that indeed the lowest and most doubtful people can achieve great effects through their frippery and determination. His story serves as a dateless memorial that with the right mindset and the amenability to take action, we can negotiate anything we set our minds to.